Welcome to 10-Minute Topics, where we dive deep into fascinating ideas, stories, and how-tos, all in just 10 minutes. Whether you're here to learn, be inspired, or simply pass the time, we're thrilled to have you with us. If you're new here, welcome to the community. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Now, sit back, relax, and let's jump into today's topic. Today is December 10th, 2024, and this is episode 1. We are talking about birthright citizenship on this episode. This is a topic that is controversial here in the United States. So let us begin. The story of birthright citizenship in the United States is one of profound transformation, a deliberate effort to redefine who could claim the rights and protections of this nation. It begins in the wake of the Civil War, a conflict that left the country fractured but determined to address the injustices of slavery. Millions of formerly enslaved individuals, freed by the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, found themselves facing an uncertain future. They were free, but free to what? Would they be recognized as equals? Would they belong? At the heart of these questions was citizenship, a status that conferred legal recognition, rights, and a place in the fabric of American life. Before this time, citizenship was often restricted, and the rules were inconsistent. Then came a momentous legal decision that changed the course of history: the infamous 1857 Dred Scott v. Sanford ruling. The Supreme Court declared that African Americans, whether free or enslaved, could never be U.S. citizens. This decision, based on deeply entrenched racism, underscored the systemic denial of rights to an entire group of people. It wasn't just about legalities, it was a statement about who America believed it was. But history does not stand still. The devastation of the Civil War forced the nation to reckon with these contradictions. In 1868, a new vision of justice and equality emerged with the ratification of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. The 14th Amendment's first section declared, in unambiguous terms, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside." Its purpose was clear. It was a direct response to the legacy of slavery, a rejection of Dred Scott, and a guarantee that the formerly enslaved and their children would be recognized as full citizens. Birthright citizenship was not just a legal provision. It was a moral commitment to inclusion and equality. It meant that no state could deny citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil, regardless of their race or ancestry. But let us look closer at the amendment, specifically the phrase, "and subject to the jurisdiction thereof." Does an immigrant that enters the country illegally consider themselves to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof? What does that phrase mean? I'm so glad you asked. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof means being subject to the laws and authority of the United States. This excludes certain groups of people who are not fully subject to U.S. laws. That would include people that break the law by entering the U.S. illegally. Illegally means not subjecting yourself to the laws in place. Having said that, let's look at that amendment again, in light of that phrase. It reads like this: "All persons born or naturalized in the United States, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside." It seems the amendment lists 3 qualifiers for citizenship. Number 1 is being born here. Number 2 is being naturalized here. Number 3 is being subject to the jurisdiction thereof. In other words, subjecting yourself to the laws of this country. By entering the country illegally, you automatically disqualified yourself for citizenship because you did not come through the channel of immigration that the laws of the United States made available to you. Saying it another way is, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Unfortunately for those that want to come to the US, they have been given the impression that there is a loophole in the immigration laws that grants automatic citizenship to the individual. Simply make sure you have your baby on American soil. But, as we have already pointed out, that loophole does not exist because it is in direct violation of the 14th Amendment and established immigration law. In conclusion, for over 150 years, the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution has stood as a cornerstone of American civil rights, guaranteeing equal protection under the law and defining citizenship in sweeping terms. Its citizenship clause declares, All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. This provision is often celebrated as the foundation of birthright citizenship, ensuring that anyone born on U.S. soil is granted American citizenship. However, some argue that this interpretation is in tension with the very intent and language of the 14th Amendment. The debate hinges on a critical phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Advocates of birthright citizenship assert that this phrase was intended to exclude only specific groups, such as the children of foreign diplomats or occupying enemy forces, who are not fully subject to U.S. law. According to this view, the framers of the 14th Amendment sought to create an inclusive standard for citizenship, rectifying the injustices of slavery and ensuring that freed African Americans and their descendants would be recognized as full citizens. Opponents of this broad interpretation contend that the framers of the 14th Amendment could not have anticipated the modern complexities of immigration and national sovereignty. They argue that the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" implies a deeper allegiance to the United States, excluding those who are only temporarily within its borders or who owe allegiance to another country. From this perspective, granting citizenship to the children of undocumented immigrants or temporary visitors stretches the amendment's intent and undermines its purpose. Historical context is crucial in this debate. When the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, the United States had no comprehensive immigration system as we understand it today. The framers' primary focus was to resolve the status of formerly enslaved individuals, not to address the complexities of global migration. Critics of birthright citizenship argue that applying the amendment to all children born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parent status, is a modern extrapolation that risks distorting its original intent. Those advocating for a narrower interpretation of the 14th Amendment often propose alternatives, such as amending the Constitution or enacting legislation to redefine citizenship standards. They argue that unchecked birthright citizenship incentivizes illegal immigration and creates a loophole in immigration enforcement. Critics counter that such proposals risk creating a class of stateless individuals and eroding the principle of equal protection under the law. The conflict between birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment is not merely a legal debate. It is a question about the nature of American identity. Is citizenship a fundamental birthright tied to the land? Or is it a privilege that requires a deeper connection and commitment to the nation? As the United States continues to grapple with immigration and demographic change, this debate remains at the heart of its constitutional and moral framework. In the end, the resolution of this conflict may rest not just on legal arguments, but on the broader values that Americans choose to embrace. The 14th Amendment was born out of a struggle for inclusion and equality. Whether its legacy will continue to reflect those ideals is a question for each generation to answer. Thank you for joining for this episode of 10-Minute Topics. I hope you have been inspired to think. Lack of education is the bane of any country. You can see the results of that around the world. Please share this channel with friends and family. No matter which side you are on, intelligent discourse is always the answer. Peace to you, my friends.